everyone, it's Brittany and Katie with the Q team in Rochester, New York, and today we're going to do a quick video of the do's and don'ts after you make mortgage application.
Yep, so at this point you've found a house, you've got an offer accepted, you apply for your mortgage. Usually your mortgage officer will explain, what to do from there, and we want to really drive the point home of what to do and what not to do, because there are a lot of things that can be really, really important at that stage of the game.
Yeah, that's true. I guess the only do that we have for this video is listen to your loan officer and do as they tell you.
Yep.
So we want to drive home a few of the big do nots.
Yes.
Do not do these. Don't do these. Don't think about doing these. Any of these things,
Just
don't
don't.
do them after you've made mortgage application for your purchase.
Yep. So number one is don't make any large deposits before checking with your loan officer. So I guess, the biggest do is before you do anything, check with your loan officer.
Yes.
But any large deposits can sometimes be a big, red flag for the bank. They want to see a paper trail of everything. They want to make sure that it's nothing sketchy. If you have a large cash, bag of cash
money
under your mattress, don't put it in the bank.
Yeah, don't.
You really want to make sure, because the bank really wants to see everything, where it's come from, why you got it, and then why it's in there. And a big, large deposit might set off some red flags that might pose an issue with your loan.
Yeah, and now some people might say, but I'm getting a gift. That's different.
Yeah.
So that money, after your loan officer says it's okay, can be transferred into your account. But then there will be required documentation
Paperwork
from where it's coming from. They need the trail. But do not do that until your loan officer tells you to.
Yes, and they'll advise you exactly on how to make sure that that's done properly, so that there will be no issues with that.
Yeah. Number two is do not make any large purchases. Don't finance anything while you're in the mortgage application process, because if you're opening up this new credit, it's going to be a monthly debt that will show up on your credit, and then that could throw off your debt to income ratios,
your credit score.
Yes, so that new car that you might want to buy, you might end up living in if your debt to income ratios go up too high and that you can't buy the house.
Yes.
Don't.
Don't do it. No new cars, furniture, appliances, all of those things, a lot of people want to pre-plan. Just make sure before you open any new accounts, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Or before you make any of those large purchases, even if you are putting them on, on a credit card or paying in cash, just make sure to run that by your loan officer to make sure that there won't be any issues with that.
So that also goes into, sometimes parents might co-sign for their children for something, and sometimes that might come at the same time as when those parents are trying to buy a house. Don't do it. Easy. Don't do it.
So when you co-sign, it's really going to impact your debts, your credits, all of those, if you had co-signed for something and they don't make a payment, that's going to impact you and your credit score and show as a, delinquent account, all sorts of things. Co-signing can just be, it can be a fine thing to do, but in the mortgage application time frame, in those 2 months, month and a half, it's not worth messing anything up. Or again, you got to run everything by your loan officer to make sure that if you are thinking of doing that it will be okay, and they will make sure to go through the process to ensure that it is okay or not.
We are being very exaggerative with all of this stuff, so it is important to disclose that sometimes it is okay.
Yes.
If you ask your loan officer first. Yes. Once or twice or three times, and they say yes, that's okay once or twice or three times, then you can do it.
Next one is don't change bank accounts. That can sometimes throw a loop in your financial history, any of that kind of stuff you're providing. That's one of the documents that you're going to have to provide your mortgage person, is with copies of bank statements, bank history, all of that kind of stuff. So keep it simple. Don't change bank accounts. Wait until after you close to do that.
Don't apply for new credit. Don't open any new credit cards.
Yeah.
Don't do it until after you close.
Or again, get approval first.
Right.
And then also don't close any credit accounts unless your loan officer tells you to. Don't file credit disputes, all of those things. You make sure, unless they've told you to or you've gotten approval, it can throw off your credit score. It can throw off, the documents that they need. So it could really put a damper in your mortgage application or the timing or all of that.
We were joking before we started recording that, like, just breathe.
Yeah.
That's all you can do.
Only sometimes, but not all the time.
Only if your loan officer says it's okay. No, but all of these things that we're saying are simply because it could be the deciding factor as to whether you can go forward for purchasing the home or not.
Yeah.
Especially if ratios are tight.
Yes. And one other, kind of big thing that sometimes people is changing jobs, changing careers, any of that. You definitely, before you accept a new job or take any changes, make sure that you just get the okay before you sign that new offer letter from your loan officer. Because again, sometimes we require job history. Sometimes, there's all sorts of things that go into this. It's a very complex process.
And another point that I want to make is don't quit your job because your loan officer will have to verify employment a couple days before closing. So one time we did have a little bit of a dilemma where, there was a buyer who was planning on quitting her job and she did it prematurely, which of course the bank found out about. So if there are plans to quit or change jobs, if it is a change, check with your loan officer, make sure it's okay. If it's quit, wait until after you close and then quit.
Yep. So don't do these things. Do not. And do check with your loan officer or us, and we will make sure before you make any sort of thing that might affect you financially as you're in the mortgage application process, and even when you're looking, because your mortgage pre-approval is usually based on the information that you tell the loan officer. So if you want to make any sort of big changes or are doing something that we talked about on this list, even before you've got an offer accepted and applied for the mortgage, check with them beforehand so that you don't throw off your pre-approval and financial purchase.
So listen to this and you should be good.
Awesome. All right, we will talk to you all soon. Any questions, please just reach out.